Pickleball is the fastest growing sport in the US and has multiple professional leagues. The big question is, can it become a major league sport like the NFL or the NBA? These leagues are distinguished by their revenue, their size, and their popularity. So let's break down pickleball's math and how it compares across 4 categories needed to make it big.
You're watching iHeart.STEM. Today we'll tackle one STEM topic I learned from experts. Just 4 key questions with each answer under 1 minute or less.
Pickleball definitely has a solid foundation for growth given the amount of investors and sponsorships it's generated to date. The sports leagues in the US tend to follow a pattern with how they were started. You have an investor who's interested in growing a sport, and they see potential for a fan base and for revenue. So these investors invest their own money, or they fundraise to get additional investors and sponsors to commit to a certain level of funding. Pickleball had this from the start. You had both very successful businessmen as well as people with money investing in the sport. It's also continued to attract additional investors like Mark Cuban, Patrick Mahomes, and Tom Brady. The sponsorship side, it's managed to get a lot of big sponsors, which shows that brands believe in its potential, which is hard in the age of content. Now, what's difficult about looking at these investors and sponsorships is knowing, is it enough? Because you can't compare it to other sports necessarily. Baseball was started so long ago, not even a relevant comparison. And then some leagues like the WNBA have had investors, but they still have struggled. Now, these initial investments are very important because they're going to determine how quickly a league can grow. For a sport to become next level, it needs to not only be something people want to watch, it also needs to have a certain level of structure so that people can follow. For pickleball, I'd say both of these are still a little up in the air. Playing pickleball has been growing at an astounding rate in the United States, over 200%, with an estimated 13.6 million players in 2023. This is about half the number of people who play golf in the US. In addition, it's attracting both young and old, which is similar to tennis. And while not the NFL, tennis is still one of the most popular sports worldwide. The big question is going to be, just because people like to play, will they want to watch? In some sports, there's a strong correlation, and in others, there's none. In addition, a surprisingly 62% of Americans don't follow any sports. The leagues have had a lot of instability this year. We started the year with 4 primary leagues and 1 governing body. Now, 2 of those primary leagues merged and also started their own governing body. This is similar to the start of the NFL, but too soon to tell how fans will react to differences in rules. In addition, there's a lack of schedule in terms of when you can find pickleball, which makes it hard for customers to know when to tune in. Media coverage continues to evolve, but right now with sports, in order to connect with fans, you need broadcast rights. In fact, live TV is growing at such a crazy rate, we're seeing more sporting events being televised. Some skeptics think that pickleball won't make for good TV, but I think if you can figure out golf, you can figure out pickleball. What makes this category complicated, though, is it's so fragmented, and so much more so than when other major leagues were started, even some that haven't been as profitable, like the WNBA. Take, for example, in 1997 when that first started. How many of you were like me watching TGF on Fridays? If you weren't watching anything because there was no other options. Now, it couldn't be more of the opposite. Peacock actually streamed 51 sporting events one weekend and 7 at the same time. So how is pickleball doing in winning broadcast rights? Pretty well. USA Pickleball signed a deal with QVC, while maybe not the obvious choice, actually has a lot of the target audience. In addition, there's been deals with CBS, Fox, and ESPN. And in fact, pickleball has outperformed other sports like NCAA men's basketball and the PGA Tour. A big player has an impact to a team, a sport, and brands. But to become a major league, a league needs to have multiple big players people want to watch and follow. Otherwise, you see some of the stagnation like what we've seen in the WNBA. In fact, research shows that people that watch sports and talk about them daily, 50% of them follow a sport because of the players. An easy example is LeBron. In 2018, when he announced his move to the Lakers, there was 3 hours left in the day. In just that short time period, there were so many jersey sales that it led to one of the 10 best jersey sales days in Fanatics history. Now, in order for a player to get to the level of LeBron, they need to be supported by the league through salaries, through prize money, helping with endorsements, other mechanisms. Pickleball is very similar to tennis in that it's very fragmented. And while tennis has been able to support and help generate big names like Serena Williams, unless you're one of the top 100 tennis players, it's hard to consistently make a living. And that may be one of the reasons we haven't quite seen it get to the level of the NFL in the United States. Only time will tell if pickleball can make it as a major league sport, but it definitely has potential. And I can tell you, my parents are definitely rooting for it to make it. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, make sure to hit the subscribe button. I'll see you next week.